Okay. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. Please, everybody, make sure that you can open your Cola and you can just pull up the data set that I'm going to announce in a second. Today, we are going to start talking about group by. You know, we have used group by in databases. So if you remember anything about group by, share with your team members what could be the usage of group by. So talk to your neighbors. What is the usage of group by? And when you are done with that, can you come up with any example, group by? Example for group by. Any example, say that, imagine that we have this case and we use group by for replying to that case. Grouping which type of data? Okay, so yes.
Can we say that we need to combine two tables or two data? For example, we have a like data of apple, potato, watermelon, and there's another data for like first is two vegetable and they combine. So
Okay, so imagine that we have different classes, right? One is I want to calculate the average of overall students, right? Guys, I repeat it. Imagine that this is important. So please do with me, understand the concept. Imagine that if I have 100, almost 40 students in different sections, I can just calculate the average of overall classes. That's one. What is the other solution? I could say I want to calculate the average of students based on sections. Like, what is the average of students in 8 to 11? What is the average of students in 11 to 2? And what is the average of the grade of students from 3? So I group by based on the CRN or section. You want to say something on it?
Oh, just what you were saying and use dot meaning on a group to.
Excellent. Great. So by saying that, everybody please pull up this data set, and that is dreams by country, and check the first 5 rows, and whenever you are done, please give me a signal. Thank you. Well, thank you. Okay, now we want to calculate the overall average by saying that drinks.beer servings dot mean. And what it does is calculating the overall average. But what if I want to calculate the average based on the continent? So let's try this. If you say dot group by continent beer servings dot me, it is going to show you the average based on the continent. Okay. You may ask, what is the type of that group by? What is the type of the result? The type is data frame group by. It's a kind of data frame. Okay. So let's go to the next part. The thing is, you can do exactly the same thing that we did for Africa using group by this trick. You can say, hey, I want to show just those rows that the continent is equal to Africa. What do we call this part, guys? Anybody remembers? Yes. Yes, but what do we? Okay. No. Imagine that we have some truths and some falses, right? Definitely it is Boolean, but what do we call this process? Yes? Sorry? Filtering, exactly. Filtering or masking, right? Thank you, Yang. We can do exactly the same thing for Europe and for the rest. And look at this one. We just say beer servings dot mean, right? Look at the results. For Africa, we have 61. She's here. And for Europe, it is 193. And let's get back to group by. It is 61, 193, and so on, right? So it's exactly like doing what we did before, but in a simpler way. Good afternoon again. Okay, so what I want you to do, spend 30 seconds with your neighbors, say the differences between here and here. And actually, we shouldn't search for the differences. We should say this one is the result of, I'm sorry, yeah. This one is the result of separate filtering like this one, but let's go through it, talk to your neighbors. So the good thing is we are recording. So no, the good part is we are recording for those who can not make it. Okay, so So let's go to this one. Technically, we use group by in databases. For instance, we said, let's calculate the average or the maximum. You remember we used group by, we calculated counter, the number of elements that we had in a group or something. So it says, sorry, it says, yeah, other aggregate functions. What are the other aggregate functions except average or mean? Maybe you want to see who got the maximum value, who got the minimum value, what is the standard deviation in the group that I have, or how many elements do we have in that group, right? So all of these things. So please just use the same line, try.max. So it shows that in Africa, the maximum number of beer serving is 376, and so on and so forth. And if you use min, it shows. Can you believe it? Do we have any country that people do not consume even 1 glass of wine or glass of beer? Oh, based on these statistics, it shows how it is reliable, but it shows that we have some countries the minimum is 0. And intentionally, I asked that question. Whenever we don't have data, should we use 0? Yes. Think about it. If you say 0, then the result is like this. I had a friend, he was from Afghanistan. He said that it is illegal in my country, so that is why 0 is fine. I said, hey, it is illegal in my country as well, I mean the country that I grew up, but people use more than English. But there is no statistics for it, right? The only difference is that. So the thing is, what should we do? And I want you to think about that question and answer it later, because we have full set of slides for those kind of cases. What if we don't have that? Just think about it. There is no one size fits all. Just think. And let's go to the next question. What if I want to show some statistics all at the same time, like calculating counts, min, max, average? In that case, you say beer servings, for example, dot R, and then that's for aggregation, and so on. Make sure that you're gonna get the same result. And if yes, please give me a second. Merci. Look at this one. What if you don't mention the name of a column? In that case, it is going to calculate the, for instance, max being whatever, for all numerical columns. If you do not specify any specific column, it applies to all numerical columns. Please write it that way. Okay. You get the same result? Yes? No? What's the difference, James? Why not?
Did you fetch this is the first command that you should have. Let me just go through that. Did you use this? Okay, we will have time to just review the mistakes. And by the way, by tonight, you're gonna have all the slides and we will finish everything till the end of slide number 20. And that's what you need for assignment number 4. So we will cover that and we are gonna spend 5-10 minutes today to review the assignment number 4 to make sure that everything is clear, right? So let's go to the next part.
Please type percent matplotlib inline. This is something that is necessary if you're using Anaconda, Jupyter Notebook, or Colab. Otherwise, it's not going to work. For the other environments, like PyCharm, it's not needed. Then say drinks.group by continents, that's me. Simply say dot plot. What kind of plot you want? Bar. Okay. So it's going to show you Africa, all those columns like beer, spirit, wine, and so forth. Done. Okay. Let's spend 1 2 minutes. The thing is, there's a chance that, for instance, in that version, it's not me takes AGG, for example. So how it works. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So by saying that, we are done with the slide number 16. Sorry, 14. And let's go to slide number 15. And the question that we have for here is, how do I explore pandas series? What does it mean? Every column contains some info, right? We want to delve deeper inside the content of each series or column. Everyone, please pull up IMDb ratings. And after that, say the movies.d types. It doesn't work there too? Please do not copy and paste. Type it again. Simply, you can just, if you receive the same error, means that we have a typo somewhere. Okay. What can we understand from this? It says our data set has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different data series. And except the first, the duration and the star ratings, the rest are objects, right? Everyone, please type movies.genre.describe.
it shows that that column has 979 values. There are 16 unique values. The most frequent value is drama. And the frequency of that is 278, right? Instead of description, this time use value underscore counts. It shows a bit differently, so you need to count these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And you can see the most frequent one is drama and the number of repetition rate. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's go to this one. If you just add one thing and that is normalize equal to true, it turns the numbers into something like percent. And it totally makes sense because the overall numbers are 979. So the percentage is pretty close to, so 0.28. You see, it is close to this number. Yeah.
Is there a way to like multiply it by 100 to be?
Yes, we need to do that if you want to, but it's 0.28 means 28%.
Yeah.
And so on. Whenever you are done with that, please give me a signal so I can move forward. Merci. Awesome. Bravo. Okay. Now the question, well, the point is series and data frames generate, for instance, if you say that movies.genre.value counts, it generates another series. If you just simply say type, it shows the result of that is nothing but a new series. And like any series, you can just simply apply head and it shows the first 5 elements. Pardon me?
What is the this again?
Okay, we worked on movies.genre.value counts. You remember, we just created something like that.
Yeah.
Correct. It says that the output of this is another series. Whatever you have, you apply something, a method, so the output will be either another series or another data. Does that make sense?
I was not taken.
Don't worry, you got it, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, if it is a, let's get to movies.genre and say, show me the unique values that we have. So it's going to show you those unique 16 genres that we have. And if you say n unique, it's going to show you the number of unique values that we have. So we have 16 unique values. Done? Thank you. What is crosstab? Have you seen those kind of, okay,
how about this? Just talk to your friends, bring some samples. And after that, I'm gonna ask Anas and Alvin to just explain. Talk to your friends, cross that. So what is the, Anas still wants to step in and talk?
Basically comparing the unique data between the pay of when there's more you look at and you just add more columns and it's gonna calculate
Okay, how about Alvin?
So I might copy, I didn't, hear Anas, but the things wrote, it's just making a new table out of each, like, that we ask it to, so the ratings by the columns.
What is the famous price table, the price table that we use? Imagine that we have a list of cities and we want to see what is the distance between those cities, for instance, Ottawa, Toronto, Ottawa, Quebec, Ottawa, that's kind of things. The relationship between two columns, we have cities and just we make it like this. So here, technically, we have genre and we have content rating. And we want to make sure that, for instance, if you sum them all, it's gonna be the number of action movies that you have. But how many of those action movies are approved, are in G, GP, and so on and so forth, right? So it's like you have two columns, make one of them like this, one row, and you have to see how many of the elements that you have here in each of those categories. Right?
And by saying that,
let's compare these. First thing, if you say movies of duration dot describe, because it's numerical value, it's going to show you all those, like how many numbers do we have, the average, standard deviation, percentile, and so on and so forth. And you can simply access just one, like average, by saying movies of duration. But instead of this describe, if you use value counts, it doesn't give you that much interesting info. Like, what do you understand from this? It says 112.23. Yes,
It gives number of movies that the duration is 112.
exactly. So the number of movies that the duration is 112 is 23, 115 minutes, 22, and so on and so forth. Most of the time we use value counts for categorical columns, not for such a thing. But this is just for the sake of example. So please just compare the left side, more informative, and the right side, less informative. We rarely use. What about this? Please, just this time say movies.duration.plot and we're gonna use histogram. And the default value for that is 10, so we have 10 buckets. And we can simply understand that the majority of the movies are between 100 to 150. The duration of majority of the movies are between 100 to 150.
Whenever you are done with that, please give me a signal. Merci. What's your name? Meha Jayesh. Angan. Mega. And what's your name, sir?
What's it?
Evan.
So. This is another. Let's just say movies, the genre, that value counts. This is something that we thought a few seconds ago. Just this time say, the plot, in which type of plot? Bar chart. So it's gonna show 270 some here, 150 some here, and so on and so forth, right, Matthew?
Whenever you're done, please give me a signal. So. Okay, by saying that, actually we finished this slide too. And now we go to how to handle missing values. Do you remember that I asked you that question, how to handle missing values? So I want you please discuss with your friends, neighbors. And I'm saying there is no one size fits all. Please come up with some scenarios. Okay, in this case, the best is doing this, but in that case, the best is doing the other. So please come up with the solutions with your friends. And then explain, tell me. Any solution?
You can set it to something like kind of range of possible values. So I like when the value is like the numbers like 0 to 255. If you know that the range of expected values within that or within that range, it's outside of that, you can submit. So like throw a -1 in there to schedule with it, you use not number, something like that.
Let's talk about one example actually that we have, for instance, for alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
The data set that we have.
Yeah.
It mentioned that we have 0 for some countries
Yeah.
And definitely we don't have data and they just put it zeros. Do you
Yes.
think that it is acceptable to say zeros? Because zero has a kind of meaning, means that nobody drinks anything.
No, so if you got it, you can't have the negative one, right? So. Place it to negative one and then it's that from the vehicle.
Okay, so what we understand is the best is to have something out of that range for that specific example. Okay, what if we have 1 million rows? And among those 1 million rows, we have just 100 that doesn't have value for that specific field. Out of 1 million records, we just do not have values for 100. What is the best solution? Yes,
You can use fill,
we can just,
fill, no, fill any. Or draw.
Yeah.
the second approach is makes more sense, like we have 1 million. 500 out of it doesn't change, anything. So one of them is dropping. What else? Any other solution? What if the data is sorted? You have A, you have C, so you can come up with B value here. If you have 10, you have 20, and the data is sorted, you can just say, it makes sense to consider something like 15. Right? Yeah,
I guess there's a method called interpolate.
interplay. That's one. In general, I want to say there is no one size fits all. I worked from university, they sent us to one company. I told you before, the name was Adastra, and they bought one company just to take care of the data sets, how to engineer data engineering. For that part, they bought one entire company. So what I'm saying is, the intention of this set of slides in this PowerPoint is finding solution or solutions when we have missing values. So as always, let's pull up a data set. And this time, yeah, after finishing, please give me a signal. Done. Okay, what is different? What is a different command here compared to what we had before? Yes,
Tail.
is it possible to use, for instance, tail 3? Try it. It shows when you come, when you join, you get lots of bonus points. So join more. Okay, so yes, we use tail, but there's another thing. How many missing values you can see in this data set? In this part of the data set, how many missing values we have?
5.
5? Who said 5? Okay, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
and 5, correct. And how we come up with that, not any value or null value thing. Let me just get back to this and copy Control C and bring it to somewhere like this. And do you see that here we have missing value? Here we have red. Here we have two missing values. One and so on and so forth. So the last 5, that is why we saw it that way.
What is tail?
Tail, instead of head, that shows the first 5. Tail shows the last 5 by default. Good question. Okay, so let's go to the next. And I showed you the result already. I don't want to take a time for that. It really depends. Sometimes the file that we receive is corrupted. Sometimes the sensor that we expect to receive values from them, they do not work properly. So for any of these reasons, we could not have always nice, neat data set that contains all the needed info. What we need to do is to think about what could be the proper solution. First thing first, do you remember it was NaN, null, null, for this one it was red and null again. Do you remember that? So there is one method, and that is null. Is this field null? True. Is this field null? True. We didn't have anything for it. Is this field null? True. How about this one? No, we had red for it, right? It was not empty, it was not null. So see the number of truths that we have here, 5. And the rest we had values, so it is false. Next question. How about not null? It's exactly like opposite. Except red, which was not null, true. The rest were null, so not null was not true for them, they were false, right? And here as well. Why we have that? I'm gonna tell you in no time. If you just say UFO.is null, definitely it's going to test every single field in our data frame. Wherever you have null value, it's gonna return true for it. What can you understand from city equal 25?
There are 25 cities that have null.
Who else? Anybody else? Yes.
That's right, not,
So we have 25 records or samples that no city was mentioned for them. Imagine that there was this one person in the middle of the road and there was no city around and saw a UFO. So they reported, but there is no city around, right? Correct. Give me a sec. Let's double check your name later because I don't want to give 1% to someone else, but not now. Okay. Everybody, make a series, please, saying pandas.series true, false, true. And when you're done, just add sum at the end. Sum parentheses. What can you understand? Yeah. Yeah, for dot sum, why it says true, two. Or in other words, we can say truths are considered as ones and falses are considered as zeros.
So why is there like some zero in the space to allow the happening of 9?
Line 9, we didn't say do the calculation. It shows the attributes, right? So the difference between these two, this one is doing the summation. This one shows the statistics that we have 1 false and 2 truths.
The sum of zeros, yeah. What that line is.
What does this line mean? I have no clue, sorry. Yeah. Good question. I don't know. So, yes,
It's just applying the that up there,
which,
so, line nine. So
Okay.
it's just showing you the bound of the series sum for that series. It's just showing you that it's bound to that series, not that it's, not that it's actually like what the output is. So if you look at line 7 and line 9, they're basically the same, except for
Yeah.
the fact that I mean, where
Yeah. I just knew that, and I'm not sure about this, so I'm not announcing. I just knew that, and that's why I put it there. When we say sum parentheses, it does the action, so it sum all those truths. And this one, when you don't use method, it just show you the statistics. I'm not sure. One of the things that we can do is just put type before and after, show that what is the type of it, and then it can just either confirm what Matthew said or enhance our knowledge anyway. Thank you, Matthew. Let's go to the next part. How about this? If you say sum for is null, it's going to show you, I'm going to calculate every single null values in each of those columns.
Guys, we have columns city, we have colors reported, we have states reported. State and time, right? Whether you save or not, it's like saying axis equal to 0, means that collapsing down everything in that column into one line. So it shows that for cities, we have 25 null values and those over so forth. Does that make sense? Make sure that we can just get the same results. Not just. Sorry. Why? Well, actually, even if not any meaning, right? What did you say? Well, all the things that I can understand from this, 75% of the time, in the data set we have. Something like that, but it doesn't have any results. access. I'm gonna tell you once. Okay, Stefan asked a good question. Why we use access equal to 0, right, Stefan? That was the question. The answer is by default, whenever we say UFO dot is not sum, the default is collapsing down into just one row. Right? It's like we have columns, we want to create one row. Am I right? That's the default. When I don't say anything, the default is calculate the number of null values in each column and make a new row showing them. Whether you say it or not, the result is the same because this is the default. But what if you want to calculate the null values in each row? In that case, you need to collapse it, you need to fold it and make one column. So we say axis equal to 1. Does that make sense? Then you're going to check how many null values you have in each row. Did I answer your question? I think so. What is the confusion still? I'm just visual. Okay, look at this one. The visual form for that, for specifically this one. You see how many trues and false values do we have? Yeah. Okay. This is for not null, but let me go to one more. So tell me, how many trues do we have here in this column? 4. If the data set was just that, the result of this was 0, was 4, 1, 0, 0. Does that make sense? Yeah. This is for axis equal to 0. Because we create one row and calculate the number. Does that make sense? Now answer this question, please. How many true values that we have in this one? How about this? How about this one? We have 2. How about this? 1. Sorry, no, it is 0 and 1. Does that make sense? So in that case, the axis is equal to 1 because we create one column and calculate. Did I answer you? Okay. So right now, if you check, if you say UFO.city is null, it's going to show you lots of falses and a bunch of truths. Because we didn't have only cities for 25 rows. One way is using this as a mask or filter. As Yang said, we can use this one as a filter to apply that filter over the whole data set. So it's going to show us. It's going to show us only the records, the samples for those rows that we have no city. Does that make sense? Right? Okay, what if you say, let's go to the next.
This is what we started our slide with, saying what we can do with missing values.
One of them is dropping, and it really works when the number of null values are limited compared to the number of whole data set. Please use UFO.shape, it shows 18,000, and say UFO.drop null values. But when we say how, we say when any field in the data set is null. And if you say what is the result, it says out of 18,000, just we are going to have 2,000 some hundreds. Is it acceptable to drop logically? Do you think that it's a good decision to drop 16,000 rows? Yes.
Well, it depends on what you want to do with it, right? But in the vast majority of cases, probably not.
Yeah, because technically you drop 90% of the data set. But the thing is, and that is another question that I have for you, why after dropping, when you say UFO.shape, still it shows 18,000 some hundreds? Guys, we dropped it just a second ago. But after that, when we say, okay, show me the number of rows and columns, it still shows the original exact number of rows and columns. Why?
Yep.
In place.
All right. Okay. In place. When you don't set, generally speaking, the default value, to the best of my knowledge, the default value for in place, whenever you alter anything in your data set, the default value is false. And there's another sign whenever you see output for any command that you execute, it shows that it wants to ask you, hey, this would be the result. Do you want to apply it or not? If you say in place equal to true, it doesn't show the output, means it assumes you already have checked. Let's go to this one. Yeah, what if we want to do it permanently?
Don't worry, we have the data set so we can replace it. Everybody, please say in place equal to true.
And if you check the shape after that, then it says, yes, we have just only 2,400. Whenever you are done, please give me a signal. Okay, how about this one? I can't understand why it says UFO.drop null values, how, all, and the shape is 18,241. What does it mean? Does it mean that it deletes all the rows? Or what? So what does it mean?
I feel like if all the values are like, we don't have data, if all of them are null, then in that case it's gonna drop.
Okay, so why the shape result is the same as this one?
Oh, it's because of the in place?
Sorry?
Is it because of the in place?
No, in the in place we had similar case previously. Look at here. We didn't have in place and it shows different values.
It's probably because we don't have any road that all the data are not.
Wait, I'm sorry, Albert, what did you want to say?
It didn't drop any. Because there's not a single row that doesn't have every single column.
Great. Awesome. Exactly, as Nagin and Alvin said. Because technically we do not have, and if you ask why, remember, we checked that a minute ago. That how many missing values do we have in time and field and state fields? 0. So it shows that we do not have the chance that we have a line that all the values are missing is 0, right? Okay, so how about this one? Anybody can explain this? And please fetch the original data set once again, because we have already deleted saying drop all values. Yes, Nikki?
So we're specifically looking at the city and shape reported columns, if we have any null values there. And if we do, we're gonna drop it.
Any or all, both of them?
Any. How, any, so
How about this one?
this one both should be like null. So, yeah.
Okay, so guys, we need 30 seconds or 1 minute to understand what Megan said, right? So please spend your time thinking about this. میخواستم آدرس بفرستم. نه بابا خواهد گرفتاری بدون. Okay, so for this one, if either of city or shape reported is null, then we're going to drop that line, right? We say any, so it means either of them, huh? But, and that is why the remainder would be 15,000, means out of, what do we call it, out of 18,000, huh? So 2,000 some hundreds are already dropped, but for this one, we say drop those that both city and shape reported are null values. So because we say how equal to all, means we need to have both, right? And that's a nice thing that we have. It is possible to drop a subsidiary, checking the subsidiary of the fields that we have. And how about this? Yeah.
So what if we don't define the how? By default, is it like any or all? For drop and a, like if we don't have what is the default value?
Please try it, check it, and say the shape, see. It should be any, but check it. Its default value is any, as far as I remember, but yeah. Okay, meanwhile that we try to find one answer, let me know. Do you think that if I sum these values up, it's going to be 18,000 some hundred? Yes or no? How do I know? The question is, I said UFO shape reported and sum the value up. So show me the values. So we say light, we have 2,800. And disk, we had, there are some funny like cigar shapes and so on. So we have all those shapes reported. But if you sum them up, it's something like 15,000. It's not 18,000. Why? Yes?
Some of them were missing, leadership reporting.
Excellent. So, okay, Megan, could you find the answer for the question that you asked? Okay, take your time. Let's go to the next part. If you say drop another number equal to false, it is going to show you what null values. We have 2,600 some values that are null, right? And the beautiful thing is, it is possible. You say, hey, fill those null values. Say the value is various. Look at this one. Before this, we had 333 various types. And if you add 2,600 on top of it, so totally look at the values. Now it is 2,977, which is the summation of previous various values and the new one that we created. Everybody got that? Yes? And what is the answer for you? You
Any.
couldn't? Any, the default is any. Okay, bravo, thank you. Guys, Megan asked this question and I was not sure to say, I was suspicious. Megan said, what if we don't use how? What would be the default value? I was not 100% sure, so I said, please check it with and without and see what is the shape. And she checked. And any having how equal to any or not having that would bring the same result. So the default value is any. Okay? By saying that, actually, we already, sorry, finished point number 16. And let's have 7 minutes, not more, because we are a little bit 3 minutes behind the schedule. So let's have 7 minutes break and then come back and continue our journey. Thank you. چقدر خوب من جای شما راست یک کلاس تحلیل نمیگیرم خیلی مبارک باشه میدونم نه قشنگ درک میکنم متاسفانه درک میکنم چون خودم کشید مشورت من فقط میتونه اینطوری باشه که هر اشتباهی که من کردم شما انجام ندید در این حد میتونم حتما با کمال من
اشتباهی کردن اول که جایی حتما اشتباهی بوده لازم بوده
یه روز جمله عوض کنیم بعد وقت میفهمیم چی میگه گفتم داره ضبط میشه خوبیش It's motivating people to start learning Farsi. Yeah. The language of poets. من اینو میوتش کنم بعد That was muted. I'm sorry. When did I start muting? Okay. My apologies. It takes just 1 minute to quickly go through the whole thing. We want to talk about the indices. And the thing is, we pull up one data frame. And after that, we said, if you say index, it's going to show you the indices are going to be from 0 all the way to 193. The steps is 1, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, not a step of 2 like 0, 2, and so on. And the thing is, we said for the columns, we have 6 columns, right, Khadija? And then if we say drinks.shape, it shows 193 rows and 6 columns. It's not part of the, and we checked another one, another data set, and it shows the indices for even for the column headers, like, I mean, numeric values for that. And we said, okay, we use indices for 3 major reasons: identification, selection, and alignment. And we said, okay, if you check this one, it's going to show you those rows that the continent is equal to South America. After that, we said, what if I want to get to this specific value, 245? We could say, go to row number 23, well, technically index number 23, and beer servings column, right? But remember, we need to memorize all the numbers. Like, I want to know the beer servings for Brazil, it is 23. How about for Peru? It is 133. It is not possible, right? It's meaningless. Is it possible that I can make these countries as the indices, new indices? That's the question. For doing that, look at this. We say simply, hey, go to the drinks data set and set this new index, country, and in place equal to true. So instantly we change the indices from 0, 1, 2 to names, to countries. Does that make sense? So everybody please do this and check the head. And when you are done, give me a signal, please. Done. Merci. What is the major difference apart from, I mean, just we don't have classical indices like 0, 1, 2. What is the other difference that you see here? Sorry? We have the index name, which is country. So if you change that, let's see. Look at this one. If I say, show me the indices, instead of saying from 0 to 193, it says Afghanistan, Albania, and so on and so forth, huh? All the way to Zimbabwe. But if you check the columns, we don't have country. Means if you say the shape, it's going to be 193, 5, not 6 anymore. Means country is not a part of Mahir, it's not a part of data frame. Awesome. So look at this one. This time you don't need to say go to line number 23. You can directly say, hey, go to Brazil and show me the beer savings. It makes more sense, huh? Please make sure that you get the same result. Technically, this is the command. And then, yeah. But what if you just change your mind and say, you know what, Reza, I want to get back to where I was. Sure.
one more.
Sure. That works. And by the way, the slides will be uploaded by the end of tonight. Hopefully, I'm gonna just update all the marks as well, except assignment 3. And no worries. And apart from it, yeah, we spent a good amount of time today to go through assignment number 4 as well. Just a few minutes to review everything. I do not open till we finish assignment number 4. I mean the due for assignment for assignment 3, sorry. The reason for that, people may just upload in a wrong folder and they just got confused. Anyway, so let's look at this one, please. If you just change your mind and you want to get back, like pressing Ctrl Z, you want to bring 0, 1, 2 as the indices, what should we do? We simply should say drinks.index name equal to none. Sorry, if you want to get rid of the we had country over there, right? If you want to get rid of that country name, you just do it like this. But if you want to press Ctrl Z, bringing back country column to a data frame, what you need to do first, you have to say the index name is equal to country. That's the first thing. You deleted that, you remember? Now you say, let's bring it back. The second is you say, hey, forget about country as the index. Reset it. Reset the index. So it's going to just replace country with 0, 1, 2, 3. And if you say, show me the heads, the first 5, how many columns do you see? 6 columns. Now country back, yes, it is back as one of the fields or columns. Okay, how about this? Would you please type drinks.describe? Before I ask you any further question, can you type open parentheses, drinks.describe, close parentheses? What is it, Sabrina? What's the question? What is the output of type, open parentheses, drinks.describe, close parentheses? What is the output? Data frame. What are the features that make something like that a data frame? Indices, column headers, and the data. Does that make sense? So can we say count, mean, standard deviation, and 25 percentile, and so on and so forth? They are the indices for this data frame? The answer is yes. If you have any doubt, simply say simply say dot index, and it's going to show you all those as the indices, and then say dot columns, and it shows those column headers. Right? Diego? If everything is fine, let's go to the next. So, guys, look at the beauty of this command lock. You can simply say, hey, go to 25 percentile and your servants. And it's going to, it's like Excel, like saying, you remember A, for instance, 10. Simply, you can use it that way, and it's going to show you 20. Huh? So far, everything is clear again. How about everything is- Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next part. Actually, we already covered two things. The last part for dealing with indices. Well, we said that identification, selection, using lock was for selection. And now we want to get towards alignment, but before that, please pull up this data frame, range by country. And whenever you are done, please give me a signal. Merci. Okay. Please just say dreams.continents.head. So you're gonna see Asia, Europe, Africa, Europe, and Africa as well. Huh? Done? Still shows in the only. Okay, let's go to the next part. How about this? If you say set index country in place equal to true, it is going to change 0, 1, 2 with Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, and so on and so forth. Huh? It's going to replace it in place because we said in place equal to true. Look at the next part. I hope it's not too fast. Yep.
So now those countries are the indices.
Yes, they are the indices, and you're not part of the data frame anymore. I'm happy you asked one simple question one time. Pause. Okay, let's go to the next part. How about this? If we say, go to the continents and show the head, this is the beautiful part of changing that indices. This time it's gonna say Afghanistan, Asia, Albania, Europe, and so on and so on. Isn't it more useful?
Yeah.
Because before it was like what? It was like 0 Africa, 1, and now, sorry, Asia, and 1 Europe, and so on. Now you know which country is in which continent. Okay. So the next thing is, what if I say, go to the continent and say that value counts? What can we understand from that? Africa, 53.
How many countries do we have in Africa?
Lovely. Okay. After that, please just, okay. And this is something that partially we address this session, but mainly we are gonna talk next week. Can you please put another parentheses before and after dreams, continent value, and say type? Type this, what's gonna be the type of that? Is it?
Object that means-
Anybody? No, I said line 8, say type before and after, yes, series. And like any series, it could be series, it could be data frame, you can just apply, look at this one. you can say, show me the index, because series and data frames, they have, you can treat them simply like a series or data frames. Show me the index, show me the values. In series, we have index and values. Okay, guys, I repeat that. Before getting to these two lines, I want you to just write yourself. And then we can understand why we have index and values, because in each series we have indices and the values for that. Okay. So let me just make sure that, what is the slide number? 18, we can reach, yeah. Okay. How about this? If I say Greek subcontinent of value counts and Africa, exactly like addressing based on a row header or the index of that, instead of saying 0, 1, 2, this time we say Africa. And it's going to show what? It's going to show 53, which is in front of Africa, right? So is it possible to sort the values? And please pay attention to this one. Is it possible to sort the values? Yes. Alphabetically or in a numerical columns, we are gonna sort from small to large numbers. But the next thing, I have no clue. I want you, please check, do we have something like sort index? Maybe. Yes, Diego? Diego, how is gonna sort it alphabetically, or is there any priority for alphabet? Yes, alphabetically. Yes. As you said, if you say dot sort index, it's gonna sort alphabetically. And if you want to sort it differently, for instance, in descending order, you simply can say ascending equal to false. So we know that ascending equal to true is the default type. Huh? Please try it. Equal. Okay, so you got that, right, everyone? Let's go to the alignment. Now it's time for us to get to the alignment and what alignment means. This is one of the magics that we see in the scene. Everybody, please create one series. For doing that, we say people is equal to pandas.series. And we have two values. One of them is 3 million, and the other one is 85,000. These are the values that we have. And the indices for those values are Albania and Andorra, respectively. Let's have a name for that series, and let's say it's population. The most important part is make sure Albania and Andorra, you type them correctly, especially Andorra, double R. Why it is important to write them correctly? Because we want to align these rows with the data set that we have already. Now, remember, in beer surveys, what are those numbers? Those numbers say, in Albania, in average, people drink 89 cans, I don't know, or glass of beer, while in Andorra it is 245. Right? So this is for Andorra and this is for Albania. What if I want to calculate the overall consumption of beer in these two countries? Did you get the question? The overall consumption of beer in these two countries is very simple, multiplying the population by the average that every person uses. Does that make sense? For doing that, look at the next. I say drink stuff beer servings, multiply people. Isn't it beautiful? It just calculates everything by itself without any need for us to say, hey, go and find that index and go and find that index and just multiply. It does it automatically without any interference. We need no code for that. And it shows those results. Let's go to the next. And that's a beautiful thing. You can just create a new data frame if you want, or simply concatenate those two. Do you see that sort equal? Because in some versions in Anaconda, we see errors, warnings. It's not mandatory, but just to suppress that warning. Whatever you see here, please explain it to your neighbors. What is happening here? Anyone volunteer to explain? Diego, do you want to make who I volunteer? Yes, he said yes. So who I explain this? Excellent. Yes, to concatenate, we have a data frame here. We had it before, right? But for those two, Albania and Andorra, we just had those two values, right? And we just say, hey, go and find in the data set, the original data set, this one, where you can find Albania, put the value of population, align with that, and put a value for Andorra, the population, align with that. And for the rest, we don't have any value, so leave them null value. Does that make sense? And everything happened because of having, what do we call it? The indices, because the indices were aligned with each other. Cool.
What is bring some people here?
Sorry?
The bring some people. So in this example.
Okay, if we get back to this definition that we had, do you remember that the population, right? The name of a column is the name that we have for that series.
Look, the values you fetch it and put it into one variable, that's true. But the name of that series means column name is inside name. So that is why if you concatenate.
That's a good question. Negin asks, okay, where is the people in here? Why we don't have it? So the reality is, this is the name of a series that we set name equal to that. But the variable that we had our data frame was drinks, and the variable that hold this series was people. So we want to concatenate these two. And the thing is, that's another thing. Concatenation by default, you can use one data set on top of the other.
if you want to add them vertically, right? But here we want to make them, wall to wall. So we say axis equal to 1 because it's column close to the other. Does that make sense? So that is why that we have axis equal to 1. So ask your neighbor if they understood that y-axis is equal to 1, not 0. You get it, Richard? Richard. Okay, so you get that y-axis is equal to 1, not 0. If it is 1, means column to column. But if it is 0, means 1 on top of the other. So 1, 0. Okay? Done. Okay. Let's go to 19. And the question for this one is, how do I select multiple rows and columns? This is quite important, and we use it. You can see the commands that we learn here almost everywhere. In all the codes, we use lock and ilock. So let's get there. Everybody, please pull up. Just one thing. Today, I talk about lock, ilock, and we practice, but the last one, ix, I just quickly go through it because number of programs that you're gonna see in your future work are legacy programs that they use old-fashioned ix. We just want to understand what is happening there. So everybody please pull up this data frame, view for reports, and this time say I want to fetch the first 3. If you left behind in any other parts, we can start fresh from here, and this is quite important. So not a bad idea to start together. Never done, please give me a signal. Awesome. Bravo. Okay. Okay. Look at this one. For the first time, we start directly using long, and we say row number 0 and column. What does it mean? It means row number 0 and all the columns, because we said, because it is just 1, it shows the result like that, but it's this one. Please don't think that I made a mistake or I could do it in a better way. I intentionally made that line number 5 a list saying I want to show 0, 1, and 2 rows and all the columns. Does that make sense? I said show the rows index 0, index 1, and index 2. And all the rows. Everybody, when you got that and you get the same result like this, please give me a signal. See, awesome. Yeah, done. What happened to Chloe? Okay.
So isn't too explosive, like when you have zero column?
Okay, everybody got that? Do you remember, since the beginning of the semester, I said all the time when we use 0, 2, it means that 0 is inclusive, 2 is exclusive. You remember that? And I said except one occasion in the rest. And guys, now we get to that occasion. Here, when you use lock, it is inclusive on the left side and inclusive on the right side. And it's not important, you can always remember that Reza said lock is inclusive, and because when we use that, it shows 0, 1, 2, including 2. But the reason that you can just come up with when there's any question in interview is this one. Look, originally, when you use lock, you want to pass a list of items, right? And when you say, I want to see row number 0, row number 1, row number 2, do you see the list over there? Here, you use exactly the same concept. You say, I want to have a list. So you cannot say that 0, 1, but not 2. You use exactly the same concept. It's a list of rows. Doesn't it? Just remember that. And how about this? Can you please, everybody, type city in single quotes here instead of quote? What's gonna happen? Instead of colon, here after comma, say single quote city and single quote. Does it work? I'm gonna. It works. It should show C capital C. Just make sure it's capital C. How about this? Stefan, use brackets. Say city, comma, state.
I got it.
No, don't worry. I'm saying another example. City, comma, state means use brackets. And what are you gonna say? Yes.
The second one, instead of, why don't we just do it?
How about this? Okay, what are you gonna say? It shows city and state columns, right? How about this? Say city, but get rid of the brackets, please. Say city, colon, state. What does it do? It shows city all the way to the end of, don't worry, you're gonna have that in no time, so you're gonna see it. But even in that one, NS, it's gonna show inclusive on the right side too, right? It's not gonna say from city all the way to state, but not state. Yep. So there is one thing. What does this mean? Yeah. What does this mean? Go to the UFO data frame. Select row 0, row 1, and row 2. And all columns. Because if you do not mention, it means that all columns. Not recommended. Not a good practice. Even though you may know canvas like back of your hand. Think about those people that they want to work with your code or understand your code. It's not readable. So never use that, please. Comma, colon. Going to the next. This is what I said, comma, city.
And this is the other one, city state, you remember? This is something that we did a few seconds ago. And what if I say city colon state? Huh? And look at the result. Meaning it has city, color reported, shape reported, and state. It is funny, you never know that, okay, the next column is what, for instance, time or something. So it is ridiculous if we say, hey, show me city all the way to time, and you want to show city all the way to state, not time. So the logic behind this, why it is inclusive both sides is this. Okay. Now we are ready. Yeah, and you can just use 2 rows. We had one question somewhere. Somebody wanted to say why we don't use this or that. Yes,
Why don't we just remove 0?
you can do that. Why don't we? Okay, do it then.
Yes.
But it's more readable. I like it. I like to say from index 0, but it is possible. Yeah? Okay. Oops. Nobody saw it, right? So, do you remember we started the session saying using head 3, right? If you use head 3, it shows these 3 rows plus time at the end, right? The challenge for you, especially those who didn't, the challenge for you is make similar command, get the similar result, but do not use long. Please. That's a bonus. And when you are done, please just raise your hand. I'm gonna just check it, and because I want more people get bonus. Done? Not using my local bar, just using the head. Oh, that one is good. But it just, I want the result like that. Yeah. So, yeah, slightly different from. Yes. So,
Anyone else? This is different from what I wanted, but that's good. Good job. Yes. Anyone else?
So as some of you thought about it, very simple. We say UFO.head 3, so it's going to show you the first 3 rows, and we want to drop the last column, which is time. And because it is column, we say x is equal to 1. So let's go to the next part.
You know that we can use, as Yang said, filtering, right? Saying, show me the rows that the city is equal to Auckland. How can you do that using log? Whoever could answer that, another ones.
Look at this one, change it to log, UFO.log. Yes, done.
The code for it.
Yes. Please, the code for it, because then more people can. Get it.
UFO dot lock and then in brackets.
I don't know. Do it, please. Just one thing is, yeah, don't worry. First thing first. For the.
If I say anything, it's going to be the answer. So, on.
See. Thanks. The only thing is, basically, comma. But the default is to come from all of those. No, out. The default is, yeah, but it makes it more. You see the same result. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Comma, colon as well, so you use the same result, but the thing is more readable. Excellent, yeah. Just one again. No, it's. Rather than somebody else. Anyone? Else? Okay. Good job. The only, okay, let me just. Let me just give the label bonus. Yes, correct, that's what I want.
Okay, so many people found the answer. It's exactly like this. We say, hey, go to the rows that the city is equal to Oakland, without having comma, colon at the end, it works. But the suggestion, strongly this suggested that we use comma, colon to make it more readable, right? So those who finished or those who had a struggle, please just spend a few seconds, talk to your neighbors, whatever you learned from this command. Okay. Let's go to the next. You see here, we could use UFO.log and saying UFO.city equal Oakland, comma state. That is how we use log. And then the second one, we say UFO bracket notation. We say UFO where the city is equal to Oakland. And then we say dot state. They both show the same result, but which one do you prefer? The left one or the right one? Right one? I don't know why, but explain it to your neighbors. Have a discussion, and then let's take it from there. Fun. So which one?
I think the left one is better personally, because if I didn't write the code, that's gonna confuse me.
Okay, so you say the left side is more readable. Okay, yes.
I think the bracket notation is always better because if you have space in our column name, then we can't use the dot notation.
Okay, so, but that's not the case. Imagine that we use brackets after that. You know what I'm saying? So imagine that you use brackets. But what else? Any other explanation? You said that right side, but why? The right one? Okay. Just one question. Yes?
Left side, it's gonna be less intense on the processing,
Why?
because it's gonna be a different thing after, but it's not included within filter mouse string.
Hmm. Technically, as many of you could guess, whenever we use dot, it's chaining, right? Means you should calculate, have the whole data set all the way from the beginning to here, then apply that filtering, just now bring one column of it. Does that make sense? So you have the whole data set all the way to here, and then you say just grab just one column of it. And again, the left side this one, we say among the whole data set, just grab that one. Means you don't need to calculate everything, have the whole data set and just grab one part of it. Does that make sense? If you have a chance, that's a kind of rule of thumb. Between choosing chaining mechanism like the right side or do it at once in one shot, use the other, do it at once. Definitely left. So lock is the job for us because it does everything in one shot, not chaining. By saying that, okay, look at this. When I say iLock, I can use the column headers as some integer indices like 0, 1, 2, 3. But here, if I say 0, 3, it's going to show me city and index 3, which is state. Can you please try 0, 3? Get rid of the brackets and say 0, 3. Let's see. In no time, we are going to see that. Like this. If you say 0, 3, it's going to show you city index 0, 1, 2, but not 3. That's the problem. Well, not the problem. That is how iLock works. So iLock is not inclusive on both sides. Does that make sense? Okay, now it is the exam time. Imagine. And you forget which one is inclusive, which one is exclusive, right? That is the problem that I always have. Guys, lock is inclusive. iLock is not inclusive. You cannot have two eyes at once. Okay? iLock is not inclusive. Lock is inclusive. Does that make sense? Joshua. We can say iLock is pretty close to what we say in list range. When I say 0, 4, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, but not 4.
It'll always count 0, right?
Yes, definitely. In all the cases, the left side is inclusive. Just the problem is on the right side. And the only exception is this one, lock. So let's go to the next one. Yeah, I just mentioned it here as well. How about this? If I say 0, 3 for iLock, it's gonna be row number 0, row number 1, row number 2, but not 3. For lock, it's gonna be 0, 1, 2, and 3.
Doesn't matter which one do we use, like.
It really depends. We use iLock whenever we want to treat the column headers as indices 1, 2, 3. And yes, Stefan?
Sorry, what's the purpose of adding the colon at the end?
You can just ignore it, but whenever that's what I said almost 15-20 minutes ago, that it's not a good practice. Let me just bring it quickly to you.
Yeah, I recall you showing it the last line.
Yeah. So in here I said it's not a good practice if you do not say comma, colon. The reason for that is we reduce the readability, right? Maybe you say, okay, so what is this? Is this for columns or for rows or what? If you say comma, colon, definitely everybody can understand that this part is rows and the next part is columns, and the default is all the rows for it, right? Okay. By saying that,
Again, if you have a chance to choose between youth or city state, I personally prefer to use the right side. It is more flexible. Yeah, and the left side is not recommended because we just said city, state, but how about colon, comma? Because technically it is like all the rows, just these two columns. Anyway, I just wanted to know which one you pick for this very example. I personally, and again, if I have a chance to choose for something, because why they are all similar? Because we set all the columns. In that case, I don't need to use the column headers like city and so on. If I want to choose, I prefer to use log. That's only my preference. Then ILOC, and if I'm lazy, just choose UFO. Please do one thing. Fetch this data frame. Please pull up this data frame. And you see we changed the index on the fly when we wanted to fetch the data frame. We said let's change the index to country. So in that case, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, when you want to access, for instance, this 89, you could simply say Albania and what? Gear settings. Correct? For that case, it's a kind of mixture of previous conditions. Now the indices are not numbers. For getting there, we simply say Albania, comma 0. The problem is, as you see here, I was lucky to have that screenshot. It mentioned that in future we are not gonna support that. It says IX is deprecated. Please use either log or ILOC. Why I'm saying that? Because there is a chance that you work with some legacy code and the Anaconda old versions. So if you see that, just know what is happening there. And simply you can say go to row number 1 or beer servings. So we have this flexibility to mix numbers and labels whenever you want to use this one or that one, but it is confusing because of all these things. Look, if I say Albania all the way to Andorra, it is going to be inclusive Albania, Algeria, and Andorra. And if you say 0 all the way to 2, what? It's going to contain 0 and 1, but not 2. So in rows, it is inclusive. In columns, it is exclusive. Come on, forget it. It's confusing enough. And if you see that it is not easy to learn, you're not alone. This is the worst one. 0, 2, 0, 2, and you see 3 rows but 2 columns. Unless that you have no other options. Means that you have a legacy code and you cannot touch it. In any other case, please use either lock or ILOC. I do not very much emphasize, I just wanted to tell you quickly, just in case in future you see that we are not going to have in our practices. Look at this one. The question, that's the last file. The question for this is in place
And if you already have finished the quiz, you have seen that in your questions. We have two options. One of them is data frame equal to the altered data frame. And the other one is whatever the command is, you say in place equal to true, right? If you want to change applies to your data set, please pull up this data frame, U for reports. And show the first 5 rows and the shape of it. And whenever you are done, please give me a signal. Okay. Imagine that we don't want to have city. We don't want to have column name city. If you just say drop city, comma, access equal to 1, is it going to apply instantly, yes or no? How do you know that?
It's not gonna change the original.
Okay, to the best of my knowledge, any alteration, any changes into your original data set, it is going to get permission from you. Whenever you see, that's another sign, whenever you see the output, it shows that nothing is actually changed. I repeat it. Whenever you see the output, means that nothing is changed. It just want to display saying, are you willing to apply that? Do you want that change happens, right? That is why if you check, you say UFO.head, you see city is still there. But check this one. Well, actually, you have to Google it in internet because that is from Anaconda. The in-place default value is false. Or if you hover the mouse, if you're lucky, it shows you that what is the default value. But look at this one. Here I say in place is equal to true, and it applies. If you check the head, it's not going to show city anymore. So if something happens permanently or in place, then there will be no printout. Again, if there is no printout, means that something happened permanently. The reason for that, it assumes you have already checked, you saw the output, you confirmed it, and you want to do it forever, permanently, right? You want that change happens forever. Okay, look at this one. There are 2 ways. One of them is, we're going to get that. If I say UFO.drop those null values for any, it is going to say the result of that drop would be just 2,400 some rows. But if you check UFO.shape, it shows that still you have 18,000 because you didn't say in place equal to true, right? Yeah.
If you did drop it, everybody get it back.
Yes, please, if you have done that, go to, first stage and just bring them back.
Import it again.
Import it again, yes. And one of the reasons that when I start every single slide, I say, let's pull it, because we might change it during the process. Okay, look at this one. Those are the things that technically we alter, we change something in our data set, like renaming the columns, sorting the values, and setting the indices. If you want those changes happen, you have to say in place equal to true. Look at this. We say set index time, comma in place equal to true, and UFO equal to UFO.set index time. Guys, which one do you prefer? First one or second? They both work the same. First one. Why first one? Great. Actually, let me confess. I searched, I couldn't find anything, but that's why what I intuitively can understand. In the first one, you change index in the original data set. But in the second one, it looks like you get a copy of it, and after changing, you place it into, you need to have a copy. That's what I understood. So in general, I prefer the first one. And that's the whole idea of using Python and pandas. Not needing to use these kind of unnecessary assignments. Having extra copies. But anyway, this is the answer to one of the questions that you might already have seen, or maybe you will see in quiz that we have. What is the quiz number? Quiz number 8, I think, right? Quiz 8, yeah. So, as I said, the default value for something like field and A, and I'm going to talk about this, what is field and A, is in place equal to false. Imagine that in your data set, you have some missing values and you want to fill them. You don't know, you want to put, can I have your attention for a sec? Imagine that you don't have any value in these cells. And you just have red here, and you have no values in the rest. You want to say, hey, just fill forward. Imagine that here we have blue. Then it's gonna be blue, 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 and this one is gonna be red. Or if I say backward, don't fill anything for these two. Fill everything before red, 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 red. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference between these two? You have one value and lots of missing values. You want to fill them forward or backward. Something like that. So this is an example. This is like the first one. Imagine that we started from here, red, we duplicated red for all of the previous values. And for the next one, we fill forward, but because we had red somewhere here, we fill everything red all the way to here and red all the way to here. It just shows the result. It doesn't apply unless that you say, you know what, comma in place equal to true. I know I want that and just apply it. Yes.
Maybe I can explain the fill and F.
Sorry.
Fill and F, the methods.
Okay. It means that fill with before, backwards. The B is, I think it stands for backward. It goes to the top from the end to the top. Look, Okay, if that is the case, it's going to just BF is going to be fill is going to be red, 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 and red. But the next one is forward fill. It's going to change this one to blue, 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 and red. Does that make sense? Okay. So even 2 minutes sooner than what I planned. Can you please now, so guys, we finished slide number 20. Let me just make sure. Yes, 20 is done. So we covered everything needed for assignment number 4. Please, if you go to the assignment folder, it's already there. I haven't, yes, if you see here, assignment there, but I haven't. One year later, please, yeah. I haven't opened any other folder here to make sure it's not going to be confusing for our friends. And right now, please download that file. After that, I'm gonna take care of the attendance, but I want to make sure that happened in the previous session. I want to make sure that you spent 10 minutes, please read the content. Otherwise, there is a big chance that you see some issues during the week. So please, yes. We talked about that, but the priority now is that one. After that, I'm gonna stay and talk about product. So let's just finish it. Thank you. Okay, by saying that, we are done with the recording. People at home or those who want to watch it later. Sharing. And stop.